Hello and welcome to episode 232 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet in my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko and today is May 27th, 2024. Today I'm wearing two fairly new pieces. The shawl, or both were knit last year. So the shawl I knit between February and May, and the cardigan was my Christmas cast on 2022, and I finished it in April 23. So in February to April, I knit both the projects at the same time. And and now I'm wearing them together. I think the colors go together nicely. So this is a pattern by Stephen West. It's his Pierre shawl. It's a fairly simple shawl compared to some of the other designs that he's done. There are 3 or 4 patterns that repeat. You use, I think the original pattern uses more colors, probably 4 different colors, but I decided to use 2 colors, and the yarn was DK weight yarn by Wolldackel, a German hand dyer, who at the moment don't dye as much. But, and they don't dye DK yarn anymore, I think. But when I got this yarn, I always wanted to mix the 2 colorways. So it was a dark blue with some like green and pink and a bit of white. And then the white yarn with a turquoise and the same pink. And I kept thinking the 2 colors look together so nicely. I just wanted to put them in the same project. And when a friend of mine decided to knit the Pierre shawl, my sister and I joined along, and this is the colors that I used. My sister knit hers with alpaca yarn by Hansa Farm in different gray shades, and that's beautiful, and I know she loves it. And my friend used a mini skein set with, I think, 10 different colors or 9 different colors, I don't remember. So they're all very different. It's very interesting. Otherwise it's a beautiful like half circle kind of shawl, but with fairly long ends that sort of slant forwards, which means the shawl sits on your shoulders really nicely and wears very easily. And the cardigan I'm wearing is knit out of Noro yarn that my sister gave to me as a present years ago. It's the Silk Garden Solo. So usually Silk Garden is the same colorful mix that Noro usually does, but with the Silk Garden Solo colors, it's basically just one color, and the differences in the shades in the yarn is from the different materials. So Silk Garden is a mix of wool, silk, and mohair, and because those materials take on the colors, the dye differently, it's not a very solid color, but even though it's just one color, it sort of comes out a bit differently. The pattern was designed to be knit with this yarn. I changed things around. I think it was supposed to be knit in pieces, and I decided to do a raglan shaping, knitting everything in one piece. What did I do with the collar? The collar is different from the pattern, and I remember I wasn't too happy with how it came out, but I was just too lazy to undo it and think of something else, and it doesn't really bother me. The way I put the shawl underneath, I think it looked quite nice, but for now I think I'm just going to wrap this shawl around my neck like this, and then you can't see the collar. And that's also an easy way of taking care of it. And this is also one of my favorite ways of wearing the shawl, unless it gets too warm. If it gets too warm while I record, I'll just take it off. But for now, I can wear it like this, and you can have a look at these beautiful hand-dyed colors. Okay, so much for what I'm wearing. Then on to finished objects. I have one finished object, and it's technically not 100% finished, but it's finished enough, I think. And it's my Haramaki that I knit as part of the knit along that I announced on this channel, where we knit Haramaki or reversible hats. And I use this red, gray, turquoise yarn by Opal for one side of the Haramaki, and the other side I used grey merino sock yarn by Hansa Farm, and then I knit the two yarns in 2-color brioche. And so I have a really squishy, soft fabric, very elastic fabric. And now I can wear this around my neck as a cowl, or I can wear it around my hips as a belly warmer or a short skirt. And the only things that I changed from the pattern is I cast off using beads. So I used Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, which is a bind off that I love to do if I want it to be really stretchy. And I wanted the lower bit of the Haramaki to be very stretchy, so I can either pull it down over my shoulders, or I can move my legs if I wear it as my skirt. So this would be the lower bit. And because I had beads here, I decided to crochet onto the top edge of the Haramaki, and I pulled a string through. And at first I did the string with beads the way I did with another cowl that I like to wear, but the beads just kept they wouldn't slide through. Even though I tried to chain the holes a bit bigger, it would still catch on the yarn and it wouldn't slide through. So I decided, I took it out again and I just did this 2-color cord with my fingers by pulling through the different yarns. And so that's fairly thin, but it's quite strong. And I pulled this through, and now the upper part of my Haramaki, I can close it up like this. So either if I want it tightly around my neck or around my face, if I pull it up like a hood, or if I wear it as a skirt, I can pull this tight around my waist. And yeah, so I'm really happy with it. And the only thing that's technically not finished is I want to put a bigger bead at the ends, on the ends of the string, so it won't slide through. If I like pull it apart like this, it wouldn't like slip through. It probably wouldn't, because I made it fairly long, I just realized. But even if I don't need to have it, I would like to have some sort of slightly bigger beads at the end of this string. So I'll make sure to do this week, and then next week I'll try and wear this, and then I can show you which beads I picked. Yeah, so that's the only finished object I have for today, but I must admit I cast on 2 new projects, so that was not in keeping with my plans of reducing the number of works in progress, but again, I had good reasons. But before I come to the new cast-ons, I'll start as usual with my socks. And the oldest sock on my needle is probably the Two Worlds sock. This is a bonus pattern of this year's Sock Madness. Talking about Sock Madness, the Sock Madness this year is over. So the 7th and last round started yesterday morning, and sometime during the night, the first 3 people finished their socks, and my team came in 3rd. So our champion, she knit like the wind, and she came in 3rd with her finished socks. And so now the Sock Madness is officially over, and at some point I think most of the patterns will be made available on Ravelry. So if there were any socks that you liked, you might be able to get them now. At some point I'm probably going to do a special video with all the Sock Madness patterns that I knit this year, and by then I should know which patterns are available and which aren't. Yeah, but talking about Sock Madness. So this was a bonus pattern. It's called 3 Worlds, and you're supposed to use 3 colors and then have some woven in strands of yarn sort of on the water. But I'm not doing those, so I'm just doing 2 colors, which is why I call it 2 Worlds. And I shortened the leg as well. And I finished the heel, and I continued knitting, not too much because it takes time. But this is now you can see the complete pattern, which will be on the sole of the foot. And I continued decreasing away the gusset stitches. So I started off with this many stitches, and every other round I'm decreasing the stitches away. And at some point they will all be gone. and then I'll be only knitting this pattern on the sole of the foot, and on the top of the foot I continued knitting the fish. So I thought it was the beginning of the fish head, but I think this is actually one of the fins, and I will start knitting the head now. And then so there'll be the head of the fish on this foot, on this sock, and then the body of the fish on the other sock. Yeah, it's as I said, it takes time. I still have the leatherback jacquard stitches on the top of the foot because there's lots and lots of blue yarn on this side, and to catch the grey yarn I have these extra stitches. But on the sole of the foot, the pattern is the floats aren't as long, that's what I'm trying to say. So I don't have any leatherback jacquard stitches, so this bit is a bit easier to knit. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this grow. So that was that sock. Then the sock Bigfoot. The first sock was almost finished last week. This is the sock blocker that a friend of mine made for European size 48-49, and the sock actually ended up being a little bit too big. Sorry, but I'm not changing it yet. I want my friend to pick the sock up and let her husband try it on. And if he says it's a bit too big, then I'll undo the toe, and either I'll probably just knit a smaller toe instead of undoing the whole toe and ripping out a few rows. I'll probably just knit a shorter toe. But there's always a difference between a blocker and a proper foot, so I want him to try it on. If it's okay, I can do the second one the same way. If not, I'll change it. So this is sock number 1, and I'm using the Opal Abo yarn, and this is sock number 2. I think last week I was still knitting the ribbing. I finished the ribbing, knit part of the leg, and this is one of the projects that it's very easy to carry around and just pick up and knit a few stitches, nothing to concentrate on. Yeah, and then we come to my first new cast on, and that's another sock, and it's another Sock Madness sock, and that's why I cast it on now. This is actually the pattern for round 6. So I was not in the competition anymore after round 5, so I didn't have to start it straight away. But I thought if I don't start it now, I probably never will. So I decided to cast it on now and then try and finish it. Not like super quickly, but as quickly as possible, and still enjoying the process. And that's a sock that's supposed to have 4 colors. The pattern is called Helix Remix by Carolyn Lyle. Not quite sure how to pronounce that. And I decided to use 2 colors, one solid color and one multicolor yarn. This is another Abo Knäuel. This is one of the colorways from the subscription box where you don't know which colors you're going to get. I really like this color. I'd love to see that come back in one of their series. I'd love to see more colorways done in these small stripes. And the beginning of my sock looks like this. It's not a lot, but I'd already knit more of the sock. So this is some of the yarn that I'd already knit up. But after I knit the cuff, I started the pattern. And at first you just have those long stitches where you have to wrap the yarn around the needle several times, and then you slip the stitch, and at some point you have to cross stitches like mini cables, but you have to also wrap the yarn around the needle several times while you do the cable. And I forgot that. I didn't realize I had to do that. So the first evening I started knitting this sock, I realized I'd made a mistake and I was too tired to fix it. So I went to bed, and next day I had to undo almost everything up to the ribbing and then re-knit the pattern. Now I think I'm getting it right, but that's why you can't see a lot yet. I think it looks quite interesting. Looks different from the 4 color versions, but once I've knit more and I have more of the colors of the yarn in the sock, yeah, looking forward to seeing what that looks like. So this is the Helix Remix sock, the round 6 pattern of this year's Sock Madness. And that's all the socks at the moment. Then we come to the next easy peasy project that I have on the go for knitting on the go. And that's the leg warmers out of this 6-ply opal sock yarn. And it's not very exciting. I just continued knitting. Not quite sure how long it was last week. I know it was shorter than this. And just to remind you, this is the length I'm going for. So yeah, I should be more than halfway through. I know it's 155 rounds. So as soon as I'll probably count and then put a marker in at round 100 and then maybe 20 and 40, and then it'll get easier with the counting. But I didn't want to count in the beginning because it didn't really matter. I knew I had to knit quite a lot before I had to pay attention. So that's something for this week. So that's that. Then the next small project out of sock yarn is the Flax socks pullover that I'm knitting as part of the pattern battle. And this is another opal abo colorway. I'm very into opal abo at the moment, it seems. This was one of the projects I didn't show last week because it didn't go on holiday with me. So this is the colorway from the last abo parcel, and the next parcel is due, I think, this week. So I really would love to get this finished before the parcel comes, or at least before the next pattern battle starts. And the battle never starts straight away because the person who organizes the pattern battle, she needs to receive her parcel, then pick 3 colors, and then we have to vote. And after we've voted for the colorway, then we can announce which pattern we want to knit, and only after that time is over, then we actually start knitting. And this is how far I got. I finished the second sleeve. I think I was on the second sleeve the last time I showed it to you, and really happy that the stripes came out differently in the sleeves. I know some of you probably wouldn't like it, but especially for a kid's pullover, I think it's really funny that the stripes came out completely differently. And I'm now just knitting downwards, and I think I have almost got the length that the pattern calls for. And I've realized I have more than enough yarn to finish the front and back, do the ribbing. I can do the ribbing up here at the neckline as well in the same color. So I'm not going to need a contrast color to go with this pullover. And next time I want to knit this pattern, I can knit one size up and see how far I get with 100 grams and see if I can do contrast color ribbings then with that size. Yeah, so that's the kids pullover. What's next? Then next I'll show the pullovers and cardigans that I'm knitting for myself, and I start with the Lanatus pullover. That's the very colorful pullover I'm knitting out of the Hundertwasser yarn combined with the solid color. What's that color called? Do you say petrol? We say petrol in German. Anyway, so that's my main color. And this is another project I didn't show last week. This is the colorwork, all over colorwork pullover that I started knitting, and I just love knitting. I finished the yoke, and then I continued with the front and back. And I think last time I showed it to you, I'd finished this pattern, and I've added one more pattern. And I'm now starting to repeat patterns. So the pattern that I knit here is the same pattern that I had up here. And I will just continue repeating the same patterns until the pullover is long enough. And again, I just love seeing how, for example, this bit has all the blue colors, and here it's all the red and oranges. It's so interesting, and I just enjoy knitting this so much. So this is what I have left from my main color, and I've now decided I'll just keep knitting the front and back until this is gone, and then I'll decide whether I'll just complete the front and back and then do the sleeves the way it's written in the pattern. I usually prefer to do the sleeves first, but you don't always have to do things the same way you usually do them, right? So we'll see about that, but still love that pullover. Then last week, my new project was this cardigan that I'm knitting out of the alpaca, brushed alpaca by Hansa Farm. So it's those two, yeah, I'm holding the yarn double, so that's why I'm using 2 balls of yarn. And I'm knitting it from a beautiful book about cardigans, Swedish cardigans. If you didn't catch last week's episode there, I explain everything about the book. And this is what I have knit so far. So I started knitting the upper back until I had the depth of the armhole. Then I picked up stitches on one side. I mixed up the order it was supposed to knit. So in the book, they wanted me to knit this front first and then this one, but I'd already picked up the stitches by the time I realized that. So I kept going, didn't want to start over. So I first did the right front. There are some increases here to get the width. It's like a little V-neck. Now I'm doing the same thing on this side. I'm knitting on an 8mm needle, so it's a fairly quick knit. As soon as I've knit this down, I can take all the pieces together, the 2 fronts and the back, and I can knit the fronts and back down in one piece. And once I finish that, I'll just pick up stitches for knitting the sleeve. So it's a fairly simple, easy knit, and I'm enjoying it immensely. Now I'm also knitting a shawl out of the same yarn, a Stephen West pattern, but I did not manage to knit on that last week, so I won't be showing that. And I also didn't pick up the skirt with the Evenstar shawl pattern, so I really want to get going on that again, but there was just too much going on last week. But I managed to continue crocheting on my crochet summer pullover. So I have this pure cotton yarn by Wolldackel. It was called Diamant. I think it's been discontinued since. And I crocheted 2 big squares, one as the front and one as the back of the pullover. Then I crocheted 1 square. They look quite alike. I think this was the first square that I crocheted to be 1/4 of a sleeve. So it's either the upper front or the lower front or on the back. And then I did this one last week. So they are a bit similar, but they are different patterns from the same book. Oops, wrong side. And yeah, so I need to finish this round and add 1 more round, and this square will be done. Then I'll have half a sleeve, and then I want to do 2 more squares in that size for the first sleeve, and then for the other sleeve I want to do 1 square that's as big as 4 of those squares. That's the plan. Really happy I picked that up again now that the weather is getting a bit warmer. I'm looking forward to finishing this and then wearing this. So that was that. Then I knit a bit on my Mamaki dress. So I'm knitting a dress at the moment. It's a pattern by Nicolor called Mamaki, and I had finished the yoke and 1 sleeve, and I continued knitting on the second sleeve. I really would have loved to finish it, but that did not happen at all. I think I got about half the decreases done, I think. Yeah, it's also a fairly mindless knit, but it's something that I only knit when I'm here in my shop because of the cone that I'm using. I don't want to carry it back and forth all the time, so it's something I only knit on here, and then it depends on how much time I have. Maybe I can finish the sleeve this week. I would love to get the sleeve finished, and then I can just concentrate on the front and back, and I can knit until either the yarn runs out or I hit my ankles or something like that. Wouldn't want the dress to be longer than that. Don't think the yarn's enough for that, but we'll see. Very exciting. And then, what else? I continued knitting on the Abloom Mystery Knit Along by Susanna IC. I did not knit on that a whole lot. I don't think there'll be a visible difference to last week, but I do know I knit on it, so I just wanted to very briefly show it. I'm still on clue 1. Still have to do several repeats of that pattern, and because of the beads I can't really knit it on the go. I have to have a table or something. Well, I have knit beads into things in the bus before, but yeah, shouldn't do that too often. Anyway, so that's that. And then we come to the next new cast on. And the reason I cast that on, it's another mystery knit along. I told you I'm completely into mystery knit alongs at the moment, or I have been for quite some time now. And when Kate Davies announced that she has written another book, and that one of the patterns is going to be a mystery knit along in the summer, I just couldn't resist it. And I not only bought the mystery knit along, but also the whole book. And now we are getting new patterns, I think, every other week. And but the interesting thing about the mystery knit along is it's a very slow paced mystery. So we get a clue once a month. And when I told that to my friend Heike, she was very interested. She usually doesn't like mystery knit alongs because they go too fast for her. She doesn't like to knit or to have to knit so fast. And when she heard about that, she decided to join in. So I'm really happy that we're knitting this mystery knit along together. And because she can't wear sock yarn around her neck for a shawl, she decided to knit with the alpaca fingering weight yarn. And then I decided to do the same. And I ordered the colors that she wanted. And I'm using two of the colors the same as she is using. And that's the dark blue and the light blue, gray, purplish color. That's my sister's favorite color from Hansa Farm. So these are the two colors that we share. And then she used another blue that's in between those. But instead of that, I decided to go for purple. And that's actually the same color that I'm using for my cardigan. So I'm already planning on wearing this shawl with this cardigan because this is exactly the same color. And then for the light color, she ordered a white, or she wanted me to order her a white that's called Snow something. And it was a bit darker than I expected. And I didn't really like it because it was too dark. But I didn't want to order too many colors. So I looked through my stash and I actually have some sports weight baby alpaca the way they used to produce it. So nowadays, Hansa Farm sport weight has 150 meters for 50 grams, and this still has 167 meters. So it's actually a slightly thicker yarn than the fingering weight, which has 200 meters. But I think it's okay. I can still combine them. And then the pattern calls for a light color, a dark color, two in-between colors, and then one color pop. And my friend, she chose the bright red for her color pop. So it's a bit of a maritime, do you say that? Color combination with white, blue, and red. But because I have the purple in there, I decided to use pink as my color pop. And because I just love the pink in the alpaca silk yarn, I decided to combine that. So I have actually 3 different kinds of yarn in my shawl, but I can wear it with the purple cardigan that I'm knitting, and I'm planning on knitting a top out of that pink, so I can will be able to wear that shawl with that top once I've knitted. So these are my 5 colors. And now for my project, in case you are taking part in the knit along, you don't want to see it, look away now. But this is the beginning of my clue 1. So, and she said there are 4 clues and you always use all the 5 colors in every clue. And my sister decided after the last mystery knit along that she joined in, she's not going to do another mystery knit along that involves several colors. So I knew she wasn't going to go along with this one. But this is the way the colors come together. And I knit until I had all the colors in there. And now I think I have to knit a few more rows, and then I'm going to repeat the whole color sequence. So the first clue is already going to be fairly big because I have to add a few rounds, and then I'm going to add the same number of rounds again. I'll keep increasing and at this spot. And so this is this is what we get for the first clue, but just like basically 4 times as big. I think if it's twice the number of rows, but I keep increasing, it should be like 4 times this size when clue 1 is done. The second clue is due beginning of June, so I still have a bit of time to get this finished. It's a really easy knit. There are markers to show me when to do the increases. I only have to concentrate on the color changes, and that's really exciting. I love to see how the colors work together. So I'm really happy with this mystery, and I'm not showing anything anymore in case you were looking away. So I'm already looking forward to clue 2 to see how the whole thing comes together in the end. So that was my second new cast on, and that was almost the last project that I'm going to show you, because now at the end I usually talk about the knit alongs, and I finished my Haramaki. I am still planning on knitting another reversible hat, but this time without the ribbing. I've never done a hat without ribbing before, not in that style and no other style as well, but I really want to do that because I know with this reversible hat, with knitting 2 hats that sort of go into each other, it's possible to knit it without a ribbing, so I really want to do that. But I am also thinking of starting the next knit along or crochet along while I'm still knitting the hat. And last week I told you about the granny square spiral pattern that I sort of came up with during my holiday, and I am still working on doing a tutorial video on how to do that. And then I want to do a crochet along where we crochet spiral granny squares, either to make tops or pullovers or big shawls or blankets or anything like that. And in order to, or in preparation for that video, I wanted to have a normal granny square where I change color every round to show you that it doesn't always make sense to do the spiral way, because if you change color yourself, you'd rather do normal rounds, but if the color changes in the yarn, it's nice to do the spiraling so you don't have to interrupt the color stripes. So I quickly crocheted this dishcloth last week, and then I hope this week I'll get down to filming the tutorial video for the spiral granny square, and then maybe I can announce the new crochet along next week. Yeah, and done. And now that's it. That's all I knit and crocheted last week. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.